The final day is here. The new Genestealer Cult Detachment boasts the power of the Tyranids and also the Genestealer Cult working in unison, or is it unison? We shall find out in this overview as we look at the enhancements, the stratagems and also the devastating combinations that will make this detachment work. So join us and find out to see if this detachment is going to work competitively for the Genestealer Cult army, and let's see if the Genestealer Cult's prayers have been answered.
Coming up is going to be an overview of the brand new detachment that Games Workshop have been releasing for Warhammer 40,000. We're going to look at whether this detachment is going to be a competitive choice, whether it's going to be one that's more flavorful and narrative, and maybe something that you might want to consider trying yourself, or alternatively, what you need to know and look out for if you're going to be playing against some of these new detachments. Now, to take things a little bit further on our members page, and if you want to become a YouTube member, the link's going to be in the description. You are going to get a list for this detachment, something that's super competitive, super flavorful, and we're going to make the most of what we can do with this detachment. Now, as we always say, we will try and help you use the models that you own, and we're going to give you some top combos that you can introduce into your list to really make the most of them. Now, not only that, but you're also going to get loads of additional members content, whether it's our live members lounge where you can get your questions answered, or even dictate our games that we play on streams on Fridays. And on our masterclass series, we go one step further. We show you the list, we show you how to deploy it, and we also show you some advanced tactics. And the best thing about that is that you're going to understand exactly how every single faction plays in the game of Warhammer 40,000, so you don't get caught out at the tabletop. We're all about helping you feel like you're able to compete at the table, and knowing all that information is going to be one of those steps to ensure that you don't get gotcha momented. So enjoy this detachment overview, and we really hope and look forward to your feedback and some of the best ways to play this detachment.
Well, it's not our final day for the Grotmas calendar videos, but it is the Genestealer Cults detachment, and it is the final day detachment. So, Michael, this is the Genestealer Cult working hand in hand, in partnership, in synergy with the Tyranids, right?
It is indeed. This is all about the final days of the rebellion, and the Tyranids are now going to start consuming all of the Genestealer cults.
Right.
Which they in fact do as part of this detachment.
Okay, interesting. Well, what's your initial thoughts of this detachment?
First of all, thank you to GW for letting us preview the content. But I do want to say that I do feel for you GSC players, because this is not necessarily a GSC, a Genestealer Cult detachment.
Right.
It's up to 1,000 points of Tyranids. So
similar to the Drakari Harlequins detachment?
Yes.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
So, and you've already lost one of those detachments in your book to 1,000 points of guard. So it's, I do kind of understand. So if you are, you know, a little upset that perhaps you don't get to run a cool new Genestealer Cult detachment. But there's some interesting stuff in here. It's a little complex, I won't lie.
Right.
But bear with us, we'll try and explain it as well as we can. So as I've mentioned, you can have 1,000 points of Tyranids in your army for Strike Force.
Okay, nice.
So the detachment rule is psionic parasitism.
Okay, that's quite a wordy name.
It certainly is, and it's a wordy rule as well.
Yeah, right.
So for each synapse unit in your army, you can select a Genestealer Cults and Tyranids unit within 9 inches of your synapse unit. You inflict D3+1 mortal wounds on the Genestealer Cults unit.
Right.
You can then heal up to the same number of wounds inflicted onto the Tyranids unit you chose.
Right.
But only one model in that Tyranids unit. And then that Tyranids unit also gets +1 to its hit rolls.
So it's similar to the Chaos Knights detachment, with obviously the Chaos Knights eating cultists and obviously getting better.
Yes.
But this one it's only going to affect individual Tyranid models, so probably more so your monsters, your bigger organisms, right? They're going to be consuming the Genestealer Cult and getting a little bit better and healing.
Exactly that. Exactly that. It does affect the +1 to hit affects the whole Tyranid unit,
right?
But the healing will only be for one model in the unit. Now, a very important thing to note: you can only include Vanguard Invader.
Okay, right.
Tyranids.
So the first thing I had in my head was right. So we're going to have a Norn Emissary. We're going to have Hive Tyrants. We're going to have
Execremes with +1 to wound to hit. No.
Okay,
it's
right.
Vanguard Invader only.
So units we've got here are obviously things like Lictors, your Von Ryans, the Winged Hive Tyrant, actually.
Winged Hive Tyrant,
yeah.
Raveners, Morlocks, Trigons. You're not allowed to take aircraft.
Oh, so the Harpy and...
I don't really know why, because they're going to be one of the first things that hits the planet. But anyway, and you can't take Genestealers or Broodlords.
Right, I guess because we've already got them into the... I was going to say, maybe we could have included maybe 6 units of Genestealers and then have all the Broodlords and the Patriarch in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fluffy detachment, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The first limitation is the synapse options that are available. Thankfully, due to numerous balanced data slates, we've got synapse available on Parasites of Mortrex.
Yes.
Which are Vanguard Invader, and we've got it available on Neurolictors as well now.
And the Winged Hive Tyrant.
And the Winged Hive Tyrant. We've also got it available on the Winged Tyranid Prime.
Yes.
However, you wouldn't be able to include any warriors because they are not Vanguard Infantry upon creating the list.
But you could do with Gargoyles?
You could bring Gargoyles, yes.
I'm not saying that that's like an insane combo, but it's an option, right?
Okay. That's not it, though.
Right.
So all of your Tyranid units gain an aura.
Right.
If an enemy unit's within 6 inches of your Tyranid units, then any Genestealer Cult unit that is attacking that enemy unit gets +1 to their hit rolls.
Sorry, that's confused the hell out of me.
Okay, so
again.
in short, for each synapse model you've got,
right,
you can inflict mortal wounds to some Genestealer Cult units to heal and give +1 to hit to a Tyranids unit.
Okay.
That's at 9 inches.
Yeah.
All of your Tyranids units, if an enemy unit's within 6 inches of them, Genestealer Cults units get +1 to hit against that enemy unit.
Right. Okay, so GSC get better to hit when they're close, when enemies are close to Tyranids.
Yes.
Tyranids get better when they kill the Genestealer Cult.
That's right.
Cool. Right. Like you said, that's a very wordy detachment rule. It's very fluffy. Obviously, it makes sense in the lore. Competitively, I don't know. It doesn't really sound like it's going to do... With the options we have available to us, we're limited to Vanguard, again, which is a lore reason, but we're limited to units that don't really get too much benefit from this, right?
That's right. That's right. So you're probably going to end up looking at a very skewed build, and obviously we'll do a competitive list video as well in the members section. But your main options here are things like Raveners, Von Ryan's Leapers.
Yeah.
You will probably be taking some Parasites and Mortrex. You could run a Hive Tyrant, and you'd get the potential free stratagems on Tyranids units.
Right.
But you wouldn't get them on the Genestealer Cults units. But it's also a lot of points.
Yeah.
And the unit itself isn't very good anyway.
No.
So if you wouldn't include it in a Tyranids army, you'd be hard-pressed to try and include it here, is the issue with the Tyranid units.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we will get the army rule for the Genestealer Cult here rather than the Tyranid one because it is a Genestealer Cult detachment.
Yes.
So we will get Cult Ambush, so we will be able to bring back a few units here with the Genestealer Cults.
Yes, using those resurgency points.
Exactly, using it from the new balanced data slate. So if you haven't checked that video out, make sure you go and double-check the balanced data slate video that we've done.
Yeah.
But overall, we're not off to a great start, I don't think, with the detachment rule. Competitively speaking,
I mean, look, it's such a complex rule
that
it could be competitively viable. It just would take so much time to sit down and work out the avenues to explore. Obviously, +1 to hit for Genestealer Cult units can be very good. You know, I could see Achilles Ridge Runners getting +1 to hit against units that are near Tyranids, and you could send a Tyranid unit out, and then you get +1 to hit against it. Equally, I could see like Neophytes or a Primus with the bomb demolition charges shooting a unit that's within 6 inches of Tyranids and getting +1 to hit.
I guess the issue is, though, is getting your Tyranids within 6 inches. Because, and surviving, right?
You just need to be there ready for the shooting phase.
Yeah, this is it.
And then die
You
later.
might get a turn or two out of it, but once they're there, they're dead. Because the units that are there, I mean, typically are lone op characters and units, actually, for the Vanguard.
Yeah.
Trigons you probably don't take anyway.
No.
Morlocks, potentially, but again, you're not taking them, are you?
No.
The Winged Hive Tyrant...
You're not taking
You're not taking
to be honest.
Lictors, you probably will take.
You will probably take Lictors.
But they don't want to be within 6.
Not really. You'll probably take Leapers, you'll probably take Raveners.
Yeah.
So you'll have some units that are up close and personal when you want to trigger the stuff. But obviously, there's going to be a lot more synergies going on with the enhancements and the stratagems as well.
Well, this is it. So shall we look at the enhancements next? Because this will hopefully bring some combos and actually bring some life to the detachment, right? So what have we got going on first?
The first enhancement is Synaptic Auger. So this is Tyranids model only. Cool. They heal twice as many. when they do the psionic parasitism.
I mean, first thought, Hive Tyrant with wings, because he's a monster, so he's going to have more wounds.
More wounds, basically.
Whereas anything like a parasite,
it's probably dead.
It's probably dead.
It gets hurt.
Winged Prime, same instance, same sort of characteristics as a parasite.
Yep.
So the only one you've really got going is the Winged Hive Tyrant, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And obviously the Neuralict is not a character, so you can't take any enhancements on it. Enraptured Damnation is the next one. This is a Genestealer Cult unit only, or model only, and the unit cannot be overwatched.
That's good.
It is good.
That's really good, actually. All right. So there we go. We've got an auto pick.
We've got an auto pick.
I like it.
Yep. In this detachment, we've got an auto pick.
Where can you see this working best?
So this is great on the more fragile units in the Genestealer Cult army. So your hybrids of various different kinds, metamorphs potentially. So I think metamorphs is probably where I'd be using this. Look, disclaimer, I'm not a GSC player. So look, let me know in the comments where you'd use this better if you are an experienced GSC player. Maybe metamorphs. Maybe even on
your hand flamer unit or your combat
flamer unit,
the auto pistol unit.
Yeah, your auto pistol unit. I think that's probably where you end up seeing this more. Yeah, because they're all one wound apiece. As soon as a good Overwatch comes in,
100%.
Yeah, it's going to cause problems. Next, we've got Vanguard Tyrant. This goes on a Hive Tyrant only.
Right.
And this is +1 strength and AP on their melee weapons.
Okay.
Gets them to strength 10. AP 3 damage, because they don't get the +1 strength from being in Synapse.
Do you know what I'm surprised? I'm surprised at the fact that there's not +1 damage as well.
Yeah,
After all the other detachment, but if you have spare points, maybe put it on a Hive Tyrant with wings. If you put it in your list, but again, that's going to come. We're going to have to see the synergies with the stratagems and stuff to really see if this one actually has any place, and if the winged Hive Tyrant actually has a place.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of where our thought process is going to have to come into this.
Yeah. Then we've got Inhuman Integration.
Right.
So this is a Genestealer Cult model, and they get sustained hits 1 if they're targeting enemy units within 6 inches of a Tyranid unit, for the whole unit.
Okay, so that's going to be really good on our neophytes, right? The big 20 brick of neophytes, getting as many shots as possible, especially on like your mining lasers, your seismic cannons.
Yeah, I like the demo charges with the Primus for this one.
Yeah.
Because you get the 4 rerolls to hit, and then you've got a lot of demo charges that are already hitting on +1, and now you've got sustained and rerolls.
Yeah.
So I think this coming out of a truck is potentially a lot of damage, and obviously you can send a Lictor up in order to be able to trigger this rule.
I mean, the other option is the big brain lady. Can't remember her name, but she, because I don't think Mega Mind, exactly. She gives you sustained lethals.
Yes,
so she gives you lethals sustained. Yeah. I mean, that's a combo that works really well universally. But obviously, you would be missing out on the reroll hits from the Primus.
Yeah, you would. Yeah. And potential redeploys and all sorts of stuff. So that's the enhancements. I think you probably take the no Overwatch. You probably take the sustained hits. You probably don't take the Tyranid ones.
It's funny because the Genestealer Cult ones are good, but the Tyranid ones aren't doing so well. So far, the Tyranids are eating our Genestealer Cult, and they're also taking away 2 good enhancements.
Yeah, basically.
All right, well, hopefully the stratagems can help the Tyranid side of things here.
We shall see.
Yes, but in terms of the enhancements, how do you feel about them?
We've got 2 good ones. I mean, they are good ones. Like, sustained hits is a great enhancement with the +1 to hit from the Detachment Rule, and not being Overwatch is fantastic for GSC. And of course, you can bring back units anyway. You've still got your army rules. You're not going to get your enhancement back, obviously, but the units that you have them with, you might get those units back, which is fantastic. So.
It's funny as well, because the no Overwatch enhancement or stratagem we've seen throughout most of these Grotmas calendar detachments as well. So again, there's another one that's kind of been littered amongst these Grotmas calendars. It's funny to see. Yeah. But it's really strong, as you said. But let's look at some stratagems. And let's see what combinations we can make here with our armies. So what have we got first?
The first one's Hyper Ferocity. There's 1 command point. You can use this on any of your Genestealer Cults units. You get reroll 1s to wound. It is fight phase only. If you're targeting an enemy unit within 6 inches of Tyranids, then you get reroll all of your wounds.
That's amazing. Aberrants.
Aberrants. This is great, obviously, on your Genestealers.
Metamorphs.
Fantastic on Metamorphs, and definitely a reason to bring Metamorphs to the table. So this is, for 1 CP, this is actually a great strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can, in your fight phase, you can set up having the Tyranid unit within 6 inches of the enemy. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
I think what we really need to do here then is with our Tyranid forces, we've already got three or four things here that are triggering within 6 inches of Tyranids. So you really need those Tyranid units in your army. So it's kind of it's a necessity to have quite a few of these to trigger the really strong combos.
Yeah, 100% it is. And it's going to lead to skew builds like the list that we're going to cover that are all about really fast units being in your opponent's face as early as possible and trying to keep triggering all of these abilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So +1 to hit from the army rule, and then you're going to get that reroll wounds as well. It's such a superb combo.
Yeah, and if you have a Primus, then reroll hits as well.
Next is Psionic Surge. So for 1 command point, in any phase, you can pick a Tyranids unit from your army, and you add 3 to the range of their aura ability for the +1 to hit against enemies within that aura range.
Okay.
It lasts until the end, or it lasts until the start of your next command phase, but you can't use a stratagem again until your next command phase.
Right, okay.
So if you wanted to trigger more of the +1 to hit, potentially access more of the stratagems, then this could be useful to trigger at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Having the Hive Tyrant would make this easy to access because you just do it for free.
Yeah.
For a unit within 12, so that could be an argument to have a Hive Tyrant. But otherwise, most of the time you probably can get within 6 of the enemy without too much trouble.
Well, I think it's encouraged to do that, right? If you're not doing that, you're missing out on all the benefits of the detachment.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to. There's no like strategic play around it. You do have to be within 6 inches.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just a nice to have in the pocket when it happens, right?
Yes, it's just not a reroll wounds like the first one, so you're probably not going to see it as much. Then we have Avenge the Star Children.
Right, okay.
Avenge the Star Children.
Avenge the children.
The Star Children.
The children.
That was me.
Was that you
4
getting
arms?
more arms?
That was
Oh,
4 arms.
Yeah.
Becoming a Star
General
Child.
Grievous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this stratagem, using the shoot phase or the fight phase, after a Tyranids unit has been destroyed, use it on the Tyranids unit, even though they've been destroyed, which means you can't use the Hive Tyrant ability on it, because they're not on the board.
Yeah.
And all of your Genestealer Cult units get +1 to hit and wound for the rest of the battle against the unit that killed the Tyranids unit.
Okay. I mean, it's a nice to have. It's definitely got play.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're going to be doing these early plays of sending a Tyranid unit up, like a Lictor or something. Very cheap unit that can just run up, get the auras going off, maybe do a bit of damage, wipe out a unit, get killed in return, and then you pop this strat.
Yeah.
And then now all your armies just can get this +1 to hit and win.
It's a good strat.
Yeah.
It is a good strat because you are putting Tyranid units in your opponent's face. They're going to kill them, and they're probably going to have to kill them with something decent because you're looking at Lictors, your Leapers, or your Raveners, and now you're going to get +1 to hit and wound with literally everything in your army.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It suddenly makes like your Metamorphs much better, for example, or even your Genestealers much better. The +1 to hit, whatever, but the +1 to wound is the critical part here, and then obviously you can pop reroll wounds as well when it comes to your turn. Divine Imperative is the next one. So
is that an Admech one?
No.
Okay, right.
It's an imperative from the divine, from the star gods. So this one you use on a Genestealer Cult unit, and you have to pick a Tyranids unit as well. So you have to pick an enemy unit that's in engagement range of a Tyranids unit.
Right.
And you get +1 to charge and reroll charges provided that enemy unit is one of your targets.
So I'm seeing that a lot of these, a lot of them, 2 of them have actually melee orientated. So again, I'm pretty sure our Metamorphs here, you tee it up with a Lictor potentially. Lictor goes in and then you get the buffs. You could even Deep Strike a unit and get the +1 to charge from Deep Strike with a Tyranid unit charging into the target and then doubling down on that with a Genestealer Cult unit.
Yes. Exactly that. I think you very much want to go melee orientated with the Genestealer Cults units. A couple of maybe shooting assets. Obviously, Achilles Ridge Runners are still going to be incredible for you with their ability to give you extra AP. So you still run those guys. But some of these units, like your Genestealers, your Aberrants, just helps them get in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, we've got darting attacks. So 1 CP in the shooting phase or the charge phase. This one's a bit weird, to be honest, but in the shooting phase or the charge phase, you can pick a Tyranids unit, and for the rest of the turn, they're eligible to shoot and charge in a turn in which they've fallen back.
Why would you play that in the charge phase?
So that they could charge.
Okay.
It's just a bit weird.
Yeah.
They could have just put it in the movement phase like every other version of that strat, or the charge phase like every other version of that
It's given me memories of the Angelic Host stratagem, where how they worded it weirdly with that stratagem. But it's good though, right? I mean, we get to shoot, we get to charge.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the units you're using it on.
Yeah.
It's Tyranids only.
Oh.
So there's no shooting to be had because they're all Vanguard invaders.
Yeah.
Raveners falling back in charging's nice. Leapers, it's okay. Hive Tyrant, I guess.
Yeah, but he's going to be melee orientated, isn't he?
It's not really. I mean, the fallback in charge is good, but how many units are you realistically using that?
Also, they're probably dead on a hit back.
Yeah,
no one's tagging up your Tyranid units because they're not that hard to kill.
Yeah, all their fights first.
Yeah, so it seems out of place in this detachment.
It's a bit weird.
They probably could have done this on a Genestealer Cult unit.
Yes.
Right? Or give advance and charge to a Tyranid unit.
Yes.
Something like that would have actually countered it a bit better rather than just giving something completely counterproductive to that side of the army.
Yeah.
But sure, next one.
But at least you've got a fallback and charge, which is not the end of the world.
No. Well, it is for them.
It's their final day.
It's the end of the world for the Genestealer Cult, but not the Tyranids.
1 CP for resistance tunnels. Okay. So end of your opponent's fight phase, you can pick a Tyranids or Genestealer Cults unit, and you can pop them into strategic reserves.
Oh, so they're digging tunnels underground?
Yeah, they're using the tunnels that the GSC have been using for their rebellion.
The Trigons made one, and the
Genestealers
they're following down.
Yes.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yes.
Making sense now.
Yeah, it's a good strat. It's always good wherever it comes.
You've got deep strike on all your Genestealer Cult stuff, or most of it.
Yeah.
And then obviously your Tyranid stuff. We don't really care about that. The Raveners already have the ability built in.
Yeah.
But
Warlock, if you want to do a trick with the Mortals. And
we've seen this in Vanguard, haven't we? But in Vanguard, you could take 2 off, right?
Yeah.
Rather than 1. So it works better because you're getting more of the ability. 1 is nice to pop some mortal wounds, but it's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
For mission playing, though, that's where you're going to start to see it, right? Rather than offensively.
Yeah. Mission play, it's fantastic. Also, the ability to pick up a unit of hand flamers and then drop them down, shoot an Achilles Ridge Runner at someone, and then cook them with the 10 hand flamers, whatever it is. Yeah. Also, great to have in the pocket. Your Metamorphs, again, being able to pick them up, put them down, cook someone, and potentially charge with maybe +1 on rerolls.
Well, this is it, right? Like, there's the options. There are some really good synergies going on in this detachment. So I can definitely see the competitive edge to it, but there's going to be just
a lot of work.
This is it. There's a lot of building into it, and you've definitely got to tee up these plays. And if you don't, then you're just playing datasheet hammer, really, aren't you? Which I guess is the issue overall with all of these detachments where they're working in synergy with another faction, because you really have to build in, and there's a lot of big brain plays that you have to play to make sure you're getting the most out of the detachment, right? They can be cool, they can be fluffy, and you're going to have a lot of fun playing them if you enjoy that faction or whatever, right? But in this one, with this particular instance, we haven't really got amazing stratagems to boot, and then we've got some really good enhancements, 2 of them. Yeah, it's just not bonding very well, is it?
It's a weird one, because I think that somebody is going to cook up some kind of crazy, really competitive version of this list. Obviously, spamming a lot of the good stuff from both books within obviously the Vanguard Invader keyword. We do have some fantastic strat. Reroll wounds is obviously fantastic. Yeah. And if you use when something dies, +1 hit and wound is also good. So I think there's potential teeth here. I personally am not willing to expend the time to try and explore it.
No.
Some people will. What you've got to remember is on top of this, you've got to work out your resurgency points.
Yeah.
And then build the list to make sure that you can use those resurgency points. We're going to build a list.
We are, so we're going to go into that next.
And I'm going to look at the skew build that I've been talking about.
Yeah, I feel like at the start of every game, you're going to have to give your opponent a help sheet just to let them know what you can do. And you probably need one yourself, to be honest. But like we said, there's options here. We have some play styles. If you want to run this detachment, then join us on the video in the members side of the channel, and we're going to explore a list and see what possibilities we can come up with here. So we'll do that in the next video. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any feedback or comments or what you would like to do with this detachment, or if you are going to run it, then let us know in the comments and we'll talk to you there. So we'll see you in the next video.